How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today I'd like to go over with you how we do our fenders. So this is going to be a full body wrap, so we're going for a ton of coverage. So on this pattern here, what we actually did was we grabbed it out of the computer, we deleted the cutout for the camera so that we can wrap this fully in. And then we also extended all of the edges by 1/4 inch. So I call this more of a hybrid install. So it is a kit, or it starts as a kit, and then we fully modify it, and then I'm gonna be cutting all this stuff by hand. So let's go ahead and get started on this. And we will go over that whole process today. So I'm gonna do everything except for maybe heat sealing, although maybe I'll come around back in the end when I'm all done with the car, or when I'm heat sealing these edges and record some of that. But at this point, what I know that we're gonna do is do all of the install and then the trimming as well. All right, so in a situation like this, I'm just gonna make sure that I've got good coverage on all the edges. Find my squeegee, which is in the wrong pouch, or wrong part of the pouch. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and make sure this hangs over. And then we're going to tack down this back corner here. Okay, we're gonna let that start to set up for just a few seconds here so that we can put a little bit of pull on it. I do have a decent amount of soap in here. I think I'm running 10 millimeters per gallon today. All right, and as you can see here, we've got a couple fingers here that are going to need some stretch this direction. So let's go ahead and get some of that stretch in. And that'll also help bring this top up, and then we'll get full coverage here, just like that. So we're just gonna get rid of some of that. Where you just want to stretch enough to get rid of the fingers. You don't want to overstretch the material, because then you can create like stretch lines and things here. And you can already see that there's some tension now going that direction. Okay, so let's go ahead and squeegee all this out. And since we know that's gonna stay there for now, just leave all the water in there. Don't squeegee over that part. Okay, then don't get so close to this guy here, as far as that finger. All right, so I'm gonna need some tack right there. Okay. So I just put a little bit of extra stretch on that right at the corner and then wrapped it over, and then you see how I got full coverage there on the corner, and then we'll wrap all the rest of that. We'll show you that later though. Okay, so let's also bring this a little bit further down. We're gonna let that set up for just a moment. All right, and what we're gonna do is give this just a little bit of stretch, just enough to barely get rid of the fingers. And let's throw a little tack in here too. Make sure it doesn't come back up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and squeegee out this part first right here that has all the tack in it. And that was just so that we didn't pull the moisture or all the slip solution down into the tack and then make it not so tacky. Tacky. All right. All right, and then, okay, in this area here, what we're going to want to do is shift the material this way, because we want to leave enough to tuck down into this recess here. We want to, so that we're not, we don't want tension, as much tension there. We want as little tension as possible, is all I'm trying to say. I felt a piece of dirt in there or something, a piece of grit. That's why I sprayed all that off down there. Okay, so we'll get rid of some of this air. And then we want to make sure that that can go in there a little bit. So something like that looks really good. And then that kind of straightens us out here. So let's go ahead and squeegee this down. And we're not so worried about down in this recess just yet. We're just worried about making sure that we have enough to go into that area. And then we're going to kind of break up this finger here and squeegee this out. Okay, and then we want a little bit more hanging over on the back, just a tiny bit, so we just reposition and then squeegee down. Okay, I'll let that sit, because it's going to want to move around if we keep messing with it. And then let's go ahead and trim ourselves out a little part here. Oh, let's see what we can do first right here. No, we're going to need some tack in there. I'm missing my Olfa knife. What? Womp womp. Oh, I'm walking around looking for my Olfa knife. Can you see this right here? It's right here in my front pocket. Great. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and go make sure I'm staying where I'm gonna have some, let's see. Okay, so when I'm cutting this part, this is gonna be my first rough cut. Okay, and this is just gonna relieve some of the tension and allow me to get in there with some tack solution. So that will help these areas be able to contour down in better. But we really need to get this off the face of the fender. So let's concentrate a little bit on that right now. All right, and there was some tack solution. It goes right down. Let's get back up in here now. Same thing. Just getting off that face there. All right, and then let's squeegee this out. All right, so I'm gonna get a little bit of moisture on there, and I'm gonna push this out with my finger, and then I'm gonna follow that right up with the towel, or I'm sorry, I'm gonna follow that right up. That's usually when I'm pushing out edges and bumping the edge, I'm gonna follow it up with my towel. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna go ahead and follow it right up with the squeegee and make sure that we got all of the moisture out of that area. All right, so same thing here. Push this down in. And then squeegee behind my finger up to underneath it. Now let's get this one down. So that's the toughest areas on this. Let me get this out first. Okay, so that's the most difficult areas, is here, getting this to round down in, and then getting this part in. This is the easiest out of the three. Okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and dry this area off a little bit. And now what we're gonna do is our next cut, which will also help relieve some tension as well. We're just gonna come about a little bit over an eighth of an inch or so to the hole here. Okay. It's not getting a good spot to tear from just yet. Let's see, maybe over here. There we go. Okay. Make sure that all these edges are pushed down one more time. There's just a little spot of water there. I went ahead and pushed that out. Little one there. It's going to be behind the camera, so it's not a huge deal, but you know, it's easiest just to get it out now. And then let's go ahead and dry this. And then you're going to want to make sure when you're heat sealing all of your edges that you heat seal this really good so that you don't have problems with it popping back up later. All right. Let's go ahead and get some tack down here. And make sure that's stuck on there really good. Let's check. Okay, so there's nothing to attach to underneath it or back that direction. So we're going to go ahead and cut this off right here. Okay. Now we're just going to continue to work this panel down without taking any type of breaks from the install, because it's ready to, you know, start being trimmed right now. So keep in mind that in these areas you are going to need some relief cuts. So you're going to need one. All that should push down until right around in here, and then we're going to go ahead and put a little relief cut there. We'll do one in the bottom of the recess, and then we'll do one more right here. I found that if you leave all that attached, it does put a lot of tension on it. If you don't get it stuck down really good on the inside, like really good and stuck down, it's going to potentially peel back up. And so that's, you know, an important thing to remember to do, is give yourself some relief cuts in that area. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna give myself some tack in here. And then we're gonna just make sure that we're off the face of the fender, like so. Great. And then let's go ahead and trim this. So actually what I'm going to do is kind of just go in between this plastic and the fender. So I'm going to go right in the middle of the two. We're going to come up a little bit higher now, and then come right in the recess between those two as well. And then just bring this just like that straight on down, and then we'll turn it up. Okay. And then right here, I'm just going to go ahead and tear that off straight. And then let's go ahead and squeegee all that down. And then the rest of pushing that stuff down will be done with the heat sealing once it's dried out in there. So you can see we got nicely over this top edge here. So you're not going to see the line on the top of this panel here. All right, so let's go ahead and trim this material here. This is a little much to leave hanging over the edge. So right here, we're going to come straight down from that corner. And then we're going to let this hang over maybe right about 1/4 inch or so. I'm going to bring my finger closer to the tip of my blade, so I'm getting a little wavy, as you can see here, so we want to correct that. I mean, not that it really matters on this, but because it's going to be hidden. Well, it kind of stayed wavy. I'm not really being too particular about that because that's going to be hidden. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap that in now. So we'll get some tack solution in here. Let's see, I'll go ahead and start down here today. Okay, so that's wrapped over now, and we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit, or go ahead and do a slide chomp just to get it past that edge. Okay, and then we're just gonna go down a little more. Okay, and then over here we want to push this one down first, the edge before, or we want to push that corner down before we come all the way to it, because we can push some of the material into there with the squeegee, because you do minutely stretch the material while you're slide chomping it. And so we don't want to leave an extra bunched up material there on the corner, and then we'll go back away from this cut. All right, so just one more time over this to make sure that we're all the way down. And now let's trim out here. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this down a little bit, and then I'm gonna make a cut here at about a 45. And then, let's see, we're gonna go ahead and just cut right at the edge. So I'm gonna go all the way through, and we're gonna just cut right along the edge. And then we're gonna go back to one blade, and we're gonna go in between these two panels. Okay. I think right in here, I wasn't even, let's see, I was just scoring the material. I didn't even cut all the way through. It's getting kind of tight in there, so I lifted up on the pressure a little. Okay. All right. Do some slide chomps on this. Tuck that edge in really well. Wrap that over, and then we'll bring that corner back this direction. All right, so on edges like this where you're trying to wrap just a tiny bit, you want to make sure that you get a good heat seal on those at the end, because those type of edges, because they're going around that contour, are going to want to pop up easier than, you know, just a flat edge laying on the surface here. So definitely, you know, heat sealing is extremely important. Don't skip that step. Okay, so I'm gonna go right here. We're gonna leave, you know, it wraps down quite a ways and it gets narrower right here. So right here we're going to have to be a little closer, and then we'll be able to go out further and leave a little bit more hanging over. But we do want to leave enough that it's able to attach to something here, and that will help it stay down once we wrap it over like that. Oh, I'm shaking. My hands are shaking so much today. Too much coffee. All right. So I'm leaving about a 1/4 inch or so. I'm using my thumb to kind of guide me along the panel so we don't get real wavy. And then you need to make sure keep good tension on this piece here when you're cutting this. That's what keeps the tension on there so that you get a nice straight cut. Okay. So you can see with the tension, what I mean by that is that I'm going away from the blade and out that direction. Okay, let's go ahead and get some tack solution in here. All right, so you can see here we've got, yeah, I don't know, I'd say that, you know, to get this edge to stay down, or this corner, we're gonna need a little bit of tension back this way. So we want to start here and then work away from there. So we'll put that down, and that just creates a little bit of a finger right here, which will be fine to push away from there. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this a little bit with a slide chomp. We'll go a little more. All right, and then give it another one all the way on the side. There we go. All right, so you can see we got a little bunched up material right there. We're going to take care of that later during the heat sealing process. Right here, you can see that little flap of extra material. So you could just wrap that corner less, this tip here. But having a tip that rounds down like that will also help when people are washing the car, they don't grab that material over time. So I prefer to have this little excess here that I trim off and then heat seal down than to have it come up here in the corner. It's a pretty sharp corner. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this edge. So this edge it's a little much hanging over. It's actually not bad. Let's see if we can just wrap it in. And we might trim this corner a little bit, which you can't see from that one, but hopefully I get a good picture with the GoPro right there. We're gonna wanna let's just do it. Okay, we're gonna wanna come across like that a little bit. Cut some of that top edge off so we don't have material bunching up there. And then while we're at it, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna cut a little bit of this off right here. Just down to the first relief cut that we made in it right there. Okay. This had just a little bit of time to dry, so it's not fully wet. So we're gonna wrap this part in like this and then kind of bring it upwards. And that's gonna help get some of the tension or some of the extra material and put a little tension on that corner. You might even grab and just tug on it just a little bit. You don't wanna get too crazy though, because you're gonna wrap that around to the back, and then you know, if you put too much tension on it, it's not gonna stay stuck. So let's go ahead, and actually I'm gonna put some heat on this while I'm wrapping it. All right, so the very first thing I did that I didn't show you was I pushed on the edge like this just to get it off of the face and wrapped around just a tiny bit so that we don't worry about leaving any air pockets on this edge that's visible. So now we're gonna start wrapping this in. And when I get to these corners, I'm gonna put these in first. It's like those relief cuts, and I just mean corners as in this is a corner that's coming out and then back in, this one, and then the top one you're gonna go down with a little bit when you wrap it in. So then we're just gonna start putting these in more. All right, now let's go ahead and wrap that all the way. Great. Okay, let's go ahead and heat that up and seal it down. Make sure it doesn't come popping back up. All right, so that's all heat sealed down. Not gonna have to worry about that coming back up. There's a little bit hanging over right here. Let's put some heat on that and just push it under. Great. All right, terrific. Well, that's the process of installing paint protection film on this Fender. Hope you found that helpful. If you did, like and subscribe, comment, and we'll see you on the next one.